embrace innovative volunteerism. Ah ouais, c'est cool.
I'm Richard Munang. Good. I hope you will also come in and listen.
I wish you a very fruitful discussion. I remain Alex of Africa, with the 70 Minister of Estates and Environment. We build for the future. Good advice.
Thank you very much. I would like to him once again. It's a record for the student leaders that we can always achieve most of these things. I continue to appreciate this time. In our meetings, we have a very important guest. That is, I can assure you that our guest, chief guest and chief presenter has arrived at the building. Yes. Let's have the remarks of the Deputy East African Community Ambassador. Just 1 minute, 2 minutes.
Of Africa, the Executive Director CBS, the Guild President and members of the Student Guild at Makerere University, members of the academia, and distinguished guests in your various capacities. Good afternoon. As introduced earlier, I'm Deputy President, Deputy Ambassador to the East African Community of Uganda. I'll briefly talk about the East African Community Ambassadors Platform. It's a premium youth engagement initiative of the East African Community Secretariat aimed at having no individual future neither for people in our foundation. Our future is a common goal. We share it together and we should push it together. I would like to thank the leaders of the new government of Makerere University that put together such an opportunity for youth to meet and talk about issues of the environment. It's something for me to know. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for that wonderful contribution. It's very powerful, and just a reminder that the East African Union as well is committed. But our ambassador I'd like to invite the Executive Director for CBS Progressive Uganda and Cooperative, Mr. Sendungwe Habati. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Our chief guest, the keynote speaker, Dr. Munang, student leaders, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our lecturers in the academia, most business people who are here, of course, my colleagues who come with, all people observed. A very good afternoon to you, and greetings from Uganda Kingdom, from Sabasa Kabak. My name is Senator Daniel Habati. I'm actually the General Manager of CBS Poster Circles. These ones are affiliated to CBS as a media company, and it sells its deposits and also the diaspora products to have so many people outside, like in Dubai and other countries that actually sell with us back home, but also we have great products, business loans, agricultural loans, emergency loans, school fees loans, asset finance, community managed microfinance, individual loans, and also climate action solution loans. So my focus this afternoon is to talk about financial services where we have integrated climate change and resilience. As you all know, that most of our people are low-income earners. We normally focus on low-income earners to enhance, to support them, to realize their potential, to be able to engage in business, private business, individual business, small income-generating activities, but they need to be enhanced. Many of these ones are small-scale farmers, subsistence farmers who are actually located in villages and communities down in rural areas. So most of them have actually been brave through the brunt of low production and escalation of pests and diseases and prolonged droughts, low level of rainfall, and so they have ended up having most of their yields going down. And so this has been affecting so much of their sales abilities, their propensity to save. So we realized that we could not only engage in.
Thank you so much for coming for this event. Today's public lecture is on environment, climate action, and entrepreneurship. I'm very happy today that we are back at Makerere University. My name is David Uganda, and I'm the team lead of UNEP Bakosa Uganda. UNEP Bakosa has a number of partners, and today we have CPS Teosa from Uganda Kingdom, and we do a number of activities, and also we include the youth in what we do. First, what we do is value addition of agricultural products, briquettes making, youth mentorship, and also guidance, and also connecting dots among the youth and among the value chain, along the value chain. Today, I want to mention a lot. Our coordinator is around, Dr. Munang, and I'll speak less and more with him at the panel. But I want to urge you that after this talk,
We are seeing this solution across the continent today. Leveraging on this Bakosa innovative volunteerism framework, we're right in Uganda here and working with CBS Proesa and coordinating this through the Kingdom of Uganda. We are showcasing that simple climate action solutions can make meaningful change in our mothers, in our fathers, in our brothers and sisters' lives, just by developing a simple solar dryer. Mothers today are able to add value to their cassava. I saw firsthand when I went to Munang VSLA. I went to Songa VSLA in the Mukono district. I saw young people who came and explained how a simple solar dryer through the framework of the Bakosa, working with CBS Proesa, has changed the lives of mothers and communities. These are success stories. This is not complaining and blah blah blah. And it is young people who have fabricated these solar dryers. They were not imported. They were not brought from elsewhere as a craft. They were done by our fellow brothers and sisters. And sometimes we sit and talk as if we would change the world by only waiting for others to do it for us. That's a false narrative, and I'm here to debate it. Climate action preneurship is right in your hands. The cell phone you have in your hand today is an opportunity for you to learn. It's an opportunity for you to access knowledge and register, become an innovative volunteerism actor. It's an opportunity for you to go and register, become a CBS Proesa member, and tap into the climate action loan. And learn a skill in turning agricultural waste into briquettes. I saw young people turning agricultural waste into briquettes. I sat and showed this here with a team of young people who have graduated from this very amazing university. Instead of them moving around and looking for jobs, they try to learn skills just to turn agricultural waste into fuel briquettes. And each and every day, they are making over 1,000 kilograms of briquettes, and they are distributing these to households right here in Kampala, and they are making money. What is pulling each and every one of us to do so? Why can we not seize opportunity? Why can we not be a big center to showcase that yes, climate is affecting us as a continent? Of course, this is a challenge, but we are taking the ball by the hands. I might be speaking to you in this room, but I'm speaking to every youth across the continent. And that is what I've been doing consistently for the past 10 years. Because I'm understanding the power of ordinary people. When they start to do extraordinary things, we can see meaningful change happening across the entire African continent today. And please give a round of applause to CBS Corona for embracing climate action solutions as part of their portfolio. Give a round of applause. They are the first that I know of a microfinance in the entire world to have integrated climate action solutions into their loan portfolio, and they are giving this loan at 3% so that no young person anywhere can say, I don't have the money to do what is needed. Of course, you are doing it for yourself. Register and become a member and get to become an innovative organization actor and be willing to learn and grow. Nothing is easy. In my life, I'm 43 years old. What I've learned in my entire life till today is that nobody gives you anything for free. You work and get what you can get. If something is given you for free, it will also go away just as easily as it can. You have to create value. Value is your biggest strength. Value is your biggest asset. And to create value, you need to endure some pain. Short-term pain for long-term gain. To create value, you need to sacrifice and dedicate yourself and become self-disciplined. If you do not do that, anybody who tells you anything otherwise is lying to you. I'm telling you the truth. That's how the world functions. If anybody tells you, oh, don't worry, we'll see what we can do. No, the biggest strength, the biggest tool and asset anybody can give you is to give you information. Information is power. Yes, it is. I stand here understanding fully well the power of information. But if you don't see it, someone else will do it. These are hard truths I'm telling you today. And I do this out of my personal conviction of understanding that if we do not get new knowledge to our brothers and sisters, we might be in this oblivious space where we get rejuvenated with the cycles of how things are not going well and we feel good for 1 minute soundbite. But tomorrow we'll talk about the same problems of Jacob killing our mother. Tomorrow we'll talk about the same problems of food insecurity, being lost in the entire global chain because of lack of simple solutions we could have produced. That's a false narrative. And I'm doing it in talk. Distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I'll leave you with 5 points. And what I've laid the problems and the opportunities you have to see. And I've laid you already existing institutions. I was more ready at a time like this. When there were institutions giving me opportunities to see, we didn't have that. We had to fight and work hard and read and start to solve where there was an opportunity. We had to train. We were begging people to volunteer. There was no one who was giving us this opportunity. So it's coming here today to give you free knowledge, to give you free information. We've already partnered who are doing this. And then at the end of the day, we'll end up having 2-3 people who are registered. Like they say in pidgin English. Now who tells you? What's wrong with us? I speak here today as a brother. As one brother. And I will leave you with 5 points and take the rest of it. If only talk of anything, it was that we must diversify. That's the first one. Diversification is the biggest security of a system. If you do not diversify your portfolio, you will not succeed in the coming years because of the more emergencies. Yes, we have the economic emergency, that will help them. We will have climate emergency. There will be times where there will be drought failure. There will be times where there will be flood that will destroy assets. You want to diversify your portfolio. If you take a while away to the government employs me, that's not diversification. Diversification is the biggest security of the system and the biggest opportunity for you to have to diversify is to learn and become a climate action human. Your answer. Diversification is the biggest secret of the system, and if there is any lesson that we must take, it should be that while emergencies may be on a global scale, they do not affect everyone the same. The reality must stop us, as I've said, that it is our individual responsibility to be prepared and find action in worship. That we have discussed here today some opportunity for us to diversify our enterprising engagement. I call diversification the biggest security of the system. Yes, it is. The most important enabler of diversification is skills with tooling. Add value to yourself. I did physics in my first degree, but I eventually to become an environmental scientist. And today, I am passionate about agriculture because I understand that is Africa's strategic sector. You fail in agriculture, you fail in your economy. You fail in agriculture, you fail and you underproduce, people cannot be able to create jobs for themselves. And you must not be an agriculturalist to become part of the solution in agriculture. No! Just learning and using the available resources that are available to you. And resources are not money. Information is a resource. Information is a resource. I'm not getting money, I don't have money, I cannot do anything. When you have a cell phone, so you can browse through and learn. Go there and check classes, go to the Babusa website, no matter degree, engage with the youth that are already in this things, get guidance and learn. This is the magic that Africa has been missing for the past 60 years. And yet we come and they tell us to hold placards, we hold placards and compare. They tell us, no, climate is changing, it's caused by others. Yes, it is caused by others. Let me ask you a simple question tonight. You get up in the morning, you're on earth, whether you rent or not, it doesn't matter. Where you stay, that's where you stay. And the house is on fire. Will you try to put out the fire, or you go out and say, oh, I'm not the one who likes the fire. Oh, I'm not the one who. And then as the house gets less. No, I'm not getting an answer. Please, what will you do? I want to get an answer. Will you put your arms and stand and complain, or you find a way to put out the fire? Thank you very much. And that takes me to the second point, which is do not take the enabling policy, regulatory environment for granted. The bulk of the implementation actions the world over are carried out by individual citizens. The role of government is to create an enabling environment. I've said this and I will keep saying it. We can only work with what we have to get what we don't have. But we are told that we can get what we don't have by not doing anything and waiting for someone to do it for us. It's a lie. It's a false narrative. It's a false narrative. I've never worked anywhere in the world. I've had the privilege to work in different places and interact with people across the world and able to study in other places. This night, we must play our part and use data from what we are generating today. Simple actions that are given here today. The work of the Babusa, we see the SPOSA, demonstrating to mothers and communities that are using intercropping, a simple EVA application, can increase their cassava yields, and yet they can be able to dry it and produce porridge produced by the air and make more money. Is this rocket science, and why are we not embracing this? No, we complain, we'll be told to hold placards, we'll hold them, and then we'll chant and chant, and then when the drought comes, we will not say, oh, we need more money to come. Look, that narrative must stop. And that takes me to the third point. No matter what you do in your life, if you cannot generate data to say that yes, this district was losing this amount of food, and we're going to lose them a solar dryer, they have now increased their yields and they are now losing 0% of their food and they have now increased their savings. It is that data that you use to say yes, we need government incentives so that at least there can be tax incentives for us to be able to produce solar dryer. There can be tax incentives for you so that when they produce briquettes from agricultural waste, we are not going to pay taxes. Everybody will listen to you. Let me tell you something that you might never have been told. People do not like complainers. When you go to somebody and you're complaining, he will not tell you. You already know that you are a problem asset. In the face of that person, you are a problem asset. Go with a solution. Explain that this is what I've done, this is what has come out, this is the gap. If I was to have this is how I would feel it. Everybody will listen to you. You are a solution provider. You are a strategic asset, not a problem asset, not a trouble asset. So don't become a trouble asset. Become a strategic asset. And a strategic asset person is a person who provides solutions to solve problems and turn them into opportunity. And that takes me to the fourth point. For you to do that, you must become passionate. Passion sometimes in the continent, I've written about this and talked about this. Africa sometimes, I think we suffer from an inspirational and passion gap. Because sometimes what we can do, by collectively leveraging on our strengths and working even through a cooperative, we complain about it as if we do not even know what is happening. But yet we have the ideas, but we don't self-believe in ourselves. Why? Because we lack the passion to do that which touches others' lives. And that's because of individualism. That's because of selfishness sometimes. We must be able to banish selfishness and banish individualism and embrace collectivism. and selflessness. Passion is very, very important. No matter how good and brilliant or excellent ideas are, if you're not passionate, you cannot bring them to scale. Passion is the fuel that brings ideas and drives them into real life solutions. Without passion, you throw money at every problem and you will waste that money and end up with no result. You must cultivate purposeful passion in each and every one of us. Yes, I'm passionate about seeing challenges turn into opportunities. Yes, you should become passionate about ensuring that at least you solve a problem in community, because if you do not focus on your why in life, you only focus on the what and the how, you will fail. We are meant to focus on the what and the how. We are failing. You start to say, oh, how will I do it? When you have not said no, I will be able to train myself and improve my skill to make sure that the mother in the community is not depending on charcoal, so that at least she can now start depending on briquettes. And as I do so, I will get little money, because when I produce the charcoal, the briquettes, the wire, and the replace charcoal. You will become useful to the society. That's your why. Your why is your higher purpose. And what is the purpose of life? Is to be useful. Simple. It should be useful. And unless you become useful, you will not be relevant. And nobody will tell you that. They will tell you to post placards. Put placards and complain as we wait for Jesus Christ to come back. I'm a Christian, so wait for him to come back as the problem will gradually disappear. That's a false narrative. It's a false narrative. We must all cultivate purposeful passion towards offering practical, contextual climate action solutions to the community and unlock climate action preneurship that can benefit the collective benefit of all. And today we have been using this phrase false narrative so many times, and I did intentionally because as we are at this moment in time, I grew up in this country. I did my first degree in this country, and I was opportune to be able to study in Northern University to get my master's and my PhD. And I later on went to Harvard University to do energy policy and climate change. I have understood how the global architecture works. And what I learned is that sometimes, if you do not self-believe and understand your context, you might be able sometimes to get a little bit derailed to do that which is needed. The context of a mother in Mukono district is different from the context of a mother in the Kampala city. And so what you will do to benefit that mother there is different. But you will be told sometimes that you need to do what works in the city there for the mother in the village to work the same life. And then we'll carry placards and talk about it. But when we know the same, that's not how it works. So what I'm talking about here, we must shun false narratives. There is a profound power in a narrative because prevailing narratives are what shape people's thinking, and such thoughts determine greatly the quality of citizens that we have. To drive transformational climate action preneurship across Africa, we need people who are not intimidated by the challenges that we face today, but instead they're inspired and excited by the potential in those challenges that offers opportunities. But why don't we have this kind of people? The answer lies in two words: false narrative. False narrative. Albert Einstein, an iconic genius, once said that if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. This is a reminder that we cannot be able to afford to measure ourselves against inappropriate standards, because that is a false narrative. Yes, it is. Across Africa, inappropriate criteria sometimes have been used over time and again to describe the region. And yes, they ask us, oh, I cannot do this. Yes, they told you cannot do it. Yes, you say I cannot do it. Hold plaque, I cannot do it. It must be done for us. That's a false narrative. It's a false narrative. And we must be able to change that. That's a false narrative that must be rejected by you. It's a false narrative that has kept us behind to know that at least we can be able to produce briquettes to replace charcoal. We can be able to define solar dryers to reduce post-harvest losses. Yes, a false narrative that no, you cannot do it. Hold placards only. That's a false narrative. The truth is, we have to use what we have to get what we do not have. That's the simple common premise that I've got anywhere in the world. And that takes me to the 6th point. Reimagination is the only way that we can be able to do things differently. We must reimagine the future. We must reimagine the future. The premise of reimagination is based on a simple saying that we cannot do things the same way and expect different results. We cannot do things the same way, complain every day in the morning, use a cell phone to bash one another and complain, and then expect that the problem we complain about will solve themselves tomorrow. Lies. False narrative. False narrative. We urgently need to reimagine and build an enterprising climate resilient Africa. And for this, we need two things: service and product. We need a reimagination around two aspects: service and product. Because Africa and the world over is painted as a place of less value. Yes, when you complain, I mentioned a total asset here. When you complain a total asset, nobody will come close to you. When you are complaining, people want solutions. Everybody has a problem. No matter where you come from, everybody, rich and poor countries, don't matter, they all have problems. The fact that others don't showcase their problems up front is a strategy that we must adopt. Showcase the solutions and the opportunities. Grab more people as you continue to solve your problems. But what do? Reject the problems and never talk about the solution. Oh, a solar dryer is used to dry it. Where is it happening? Now, whether it's even happening yet. That's the attitude that we've been taught to. And I'm here to develop it and inspire you. I'm not here, this is not about you or me. It's about reality. And I thought it would be wise for me to inspire you and motivate you and speak the truth so that at least you can embrace the opportunities and become trillionaires tomorrow and become the example to others across the continent. Because we need this kind of frank discussions, ladies and gentlemen, from today. Let us resolve to look at challenges as disguised opportunities to be of value by devising solutions. This is the foundation of enterprising climate resilient Africa. And that takes me, leadership is personal responsibility. I stood on this stage 2 years ago and I said the same thing. Value-based leadership. Sometimes we talk about leadership as if someone else is the only one who's supposed to be the leader. You are a leader in your own right. Yes, you are a leader in your own right. Leadership is earned. And that earning of leadership is when you turn a challenge into an opportunity. In your community, in the classroom, everywhere. Step up and do something that benefits the community. That's the kind of leadership, because we know that in the early 1940s and early 60s, and the clamor for self-determined rule reached fever pitch in the African continent, self-appointed men and women with power, boldness in the struggle to liberate their country. Yeah, every move was governed by a laser-sharp focus on clarity of vision to win independence for their people. To win independence for people which they knew they were never even going to do. But they did it out of selflessness. They did it because they knew there was the right thing to do, to free a continent. They took over leadership to do that which was right. They did not wait complaining and holding back, oh, they need to come and liberate us. No! And the liberation I'm talking here, in the context of Africa today, is to liberate us from food insecurity by us taking the charge to devise climate action solution. Yes, by us ensuring that our mothers cannot depend on charcoal, they can start using briquettes. But by each and every one of us learning that skill, not complaining and saying it needs to be done. They need to come and do it for us now. Wrong. These men and women in the early 60s showcased that you can be able, once you have a clarity of vision, once you have a higher purpose. They went out there to do that which was right. They did not postpone this call for a single day. A single day in the hope of not having money, in the hope of what I call elusive perfection. This is the foundation of what value-based leadership is all about. It is what we must all identify with today and champion wherever we are to drive climate action and environment entrepreneurship. It is leadership preached on selflessness, not selfishness. It is leadership preached on taking personal responsibility, not blaming one another. Not blaming people, not using people's age to say, oh, these people are old, they're strong. What you are young, what have you done? Youthfulness is usefulness. If you say you are youthful, you will not be useful. If you are not useful, you are not useful. If you are not useful, you are not useful. And if you say you are useful, you will not be useful. That's my definition of youth. I'm going to say youth. 20 years ago, I would say youth. And if I was not useful then, at 43 today, I will not be useful. Become useful. These men and women show that there is power when we take responsibility to do that which is right. It is leadership that is premised on taking that personal responsibility, but we know that in the sense of life, it happens that a unique challenge befalls one generation. which must be solved to guarantee the safe existence of future generations. Because you're doing something only thinking to benefit me and my immediate family. It means the point. That's not purpose. That's selfishness. You must do that will benefit the community and beyond. I did not come here today to talk to you to get anything. But I came here to talk to you because I believe that if you can get the message and start doing that which is right, it will benefit the community, it will benefit the society, it will benefit Africa today. That's selflessness. And that is an attitude each and every one of us must embrace. Because the level of somehow selfishness that I see, even in people to share ideas, you get out of a room like this, people don't ask questions, they rush outside to see you and only talk with you. I will not accept that kind of attitude. It's a wrong attitude. Let's share ideas, let's grow together, let's lift one another up. That's the spirit we live in this continent today. Climate change is a challenge of our generation. Yes, it is. But we can seize the opportunity through climate action preneurship. But as we do so, always remember that you should never quit. I know that some of you get disenfranchised and you run away in the process because it's difficult. But the truth is that even in the Bible, and people, I'm a Christian and understand it, it was never a time that it was easy. So why do we want things to be easy now? I have never understood why we want things to be easy. So that at least we just party after party after party after party. That world doesn't exist. It doesn't exist anywhere. So failure is not a problem. Winners and failures will never quit. Build this type of mindset and move forward with convicted persistence and become self-disciplined and passionate and selfless. This is how we can drive transformational climate change for the collective benefit of all. Thank you.
Another round of applause for our speaker. It's not every day that you get to.
Over 70% of the entire Ugandan population, making it economically inclusive. It is highly climate resilient, and while climate change is going to reduce other food staples by very high percentages, cassava will suffer the least under the changing climate, and that is the data that we have today. Cassava will experience the least decline of only about 8% as compared to 26% for wheat. And being a high climate resilient crop, it can also produce up to 300 products. And as a result of that, cassava can actually replacing it just by 20%, replacing 20% of imported wheat with locally produced cassava flour will save the country, Uganda, by up to $398,000 US each and every year. These people will rise up to about $1 million US each year if wheat products are required to use cassava flour only. For example, the surge in demand for local baked goods that we see represents an opportunity for cassava to become an alternative to wheat. Biscuits manufacturers in Uganda, those who are producing by here, and they can save up to $130,000 US each and every year if they use cassava. And substituting 35% of wheat with cassava flour will only see more opportunity. Cumulatively, Uganda can save up to $200 million US each and every year, currently expended on wheat imports by prioritizing the development of the entire cassava value chain. But to do this, we need climate action solutions that can help us to do this. I'm just using cassava as an example, which has already happened to add values that can be able to reduce the importation cost that is costing the country and also create you the opportunity. Cassava is Africa's gold. Cassava is a strategic crop. I call it an insurance crop. These opportunities are not only in cassava alone. They are currently lost because of failure with value addition. Yet, simple solutions like solar dryers, decentralized hydrated food, can actually become not only the opportunity to create employment, but at the same time address the more critical challenges we've been talking about. And these opportunities are what we should tackle. Let's all find the preneurship opportunities. They are already being practiced across the country. And on top of not only cassava, we have eco-pollution. Like I said, there is killing of water. Up to 90% of Uganda's households depend on fuel wood by making across the entire African continent. And fuel wood alone is causing a lot of life. And on the one hand, as life across, it was dependent on charcoal. There are there is the degradation of forests. Loss of natural forests, on the other hand, up to 90%, up to 2.6% of the forest of Uganda is lost every year. And then the country has 110% of its forest land. If this rate proceeds by 50-45, Uganda will have forest These are the statistics we have in now. What I'm telling you here is not me. I'm giving you these statistics to lay the case of why we don't act. And when you are acting, you're not acting to someone else. You're acting to create a solution for your own self, to create opportunities for your own self, to develop your communities. Because our purpose must be about useful, not demanding always from family people, but asking the question, what can I do? How can I participate in the process to become a solution provider? That's what we must all do. Despite all these environmental challenges, Uganda is a pioneering country. Yes, whether you like it or not, Uganda is a pioneering leader with the merit of enabling climate policies to enterprise development. Of the Uganda Climate Act of 2021, which formalizes the legal regime of Uganda to act on climate change and give the full of law. Uganda's implementation of the Paris Climate Change Agreement will revise nationally determined contributions. Yet the system of climate is not. No, there is no more. No, we cannot do it for that. That's actually in Africa also. You must start with what you have to be what you don't have. Yes, I understand. I'm bringing up these issues mindful of the fact that people want to receive with an approach. That's fine. But I'm saying the rule. Speaking truth, what we want to do. Those who have already done it will tell you that it is working. Uganda have up to about 22% of opportunities that have been documented in this policy. Cumulatively, Uganda has a total of 12 pieces of laws in forward that can unlock opportunities in the world. And this is in addition to the economic blueprint for the National Development Plan 3 that actually lays the vision for this National Development Plan 3 that prioritizes key economic sectors of clean energy or sustainable agriculture as critical to transition Uganda into a middle-income country. Why am I mentioning all this? You become the policy. You cannot sit through your arms and say, I cannot become a climate action preneur because there are no policy. That's a false narrative. It will excite some people, but it will not take us to address the challenges we face every year. Today we will talk about challenges of food insecurity. Tomorrow we will talk about challenges of food security and we complain. That must stop. We must start to ask ourselves. And like the manager of CBS also said, the opportunity for you to tap into a climate action loan is there. What is holding us back? I don't understand sometimes why we don't see opportunities as Africans. It makes one sometimes not understand why opportunities are not seized. But when it is complaining of something that is not done, we will be number one, tweeting and shouting on top of the tree, as if we want manna to fall from heaven. That's a false narrative. Let's work with what we have to get what we don't have. If we do not use what we have to get what we don't have, we cannot try climate preneurship and environment preneurship. We must become realistic. I know the way I'm talking. Please listen very carefully because when I finish, I would not like to answer questions which I've already addressed. Because sometimes when you're talking, I hear noise and then I will finish the same questions that have been answered in the discussion with the act. We cannot continue along that pathway. And please, if you can close the doors, there is a lot of noise that is coming in. It is coming from outside. This is an important conversation. It's done across the entire continent and Uganda here. Charcoal is consumed by over 90% of households in the continent. And this is costing lives. But development of simple briquettes using agricultural waste is proving by young people who are tapping this opportunity across the continent. To show that we can be able to tap into the $20 billion market that is not being tapped into. Where we sit and complain at those opportunities are seized by others. It therefore means that we must be able to tap into these opportunities and leverage the informal sector that constitutes over 80% of our continent workforce. Contributes to over 50% of the GDP. And therefore, devising and delivering value to the informal sector is a target that climate action preneurship must focus on. Yes, it must focus on. I am saying this to paint a realistic picture of the merits of opportunities that await each and every one of us here. And I also want to debunk the myth sometimes that we must not have challenges to be able to drive transformational development. Transformational development can only come when we address challenges. I have never understood what we want to do without challenges. Challenges are disguised opportunities. They are disguised opportunities for us to create wealth, for us to address those challenges and make money. That's what the climate change challenge presents. That's what the environmental challenges present. And we must seize them. And that's why I'm here today, to say yes, we have pollution, indoor pollution that's costing lives. And one life lost is far too many. What should we do? Complain about it and tweet about it as we complain? No. Learn a skill to start turning agricultural waste into briquettes so that we can be able to market these simple briquettes to communities at a lower price than charcoal. They save their life, they save money, and you yourself put money in your pocket. As simple as this. This is not rocket science. This is common sense. This is common sense. Distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen across the entire continent, leveraging on the framework of the ecosystem-based adaptation of particular assembly evaporation, and using an innovation tool called innovative volunteerism, which simply is about you, not about us, to retool your skill, to avail yourself to learn, to be able to use your bundles on the internet, to learn how to make briquettes, to listen, to be guided, to devise solutions. This tool called innovative volunteerism has become the biggest incubation space ever in driving transformational climate solutions. From the west of Africa to the Makerere regions of Uganda here, we are seeing transformational development happening. And sometimes they ask, oh, where is it happening? Where is it happening? Because we've been told that we can never embrace solutions sometimes that come from us.
I want to tell you young people that change is change when you change. Yes. As long as you are not ready to change your attitude towards the reality, you remain the way you are. I'm telling you, I'm actually a graduate of the College of Agriculture. I have 2 degrees from I'm an agricultural economist. But when we were here, they used to tell us a lot of things in agriculture that do not work. That agriculture was risky, that there are a lot of natural vagaries that are actually affecting agriculture. And one time actually I worked in the Ministry of Agriculture where things are thought not to be working. But I want to tell you, when we changed the way we looked at things changed. Yes, and actually, you will see, you will hear so much. But from what you hear, you need to conceptualize and also to interpret and to see about what is it that you are going to do out of what has been spoken by so many people. That will be your take back home, and that will be the change in your life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, I think I'm putting moderator in a very difficult position. But it's fun. I think that we can go moderator, which is easier. So just to say, even if words are repeated every day, that's even more important is what we bring out and do out of those words. Because I can assure you that even this talk is not the same like those who are here today, 90% are not the same like the other. So they learn something. Just to say, even if you hear the word false knowledge, so just learn not to change. Like I said, the biggest change is you. If you can change, the change will come. If you stay the same, change will never come and then complain. All you use them already. I'm sorry for taking your time. We apologize.
My name is Albert Mbaisi. I would like to ask the chief guest what measures are being put in place to include the young people in the program of climate change. What I understand is that
when you the general manager of the answer that question. They have just created, we work with the UN Evaposa, we work with CBS Beosa. We have innovative volunteering, which is an open space for everybody to volunteer themselves and learn a skill and start acting. But this volunteering is not going around knocking people door, oh, come on, volunteer. You have to avail yourself voluntarily. This is my biggest problem is we do not seize opportunities. And there's so many opportunities for young people. Pewosa now is offering climate action solutions flows. Any young person can come, and the beauty is that you don't need to have a credit history to reach. All you need is to go register, show interest that you want to engage in a climate action and preneurship community, get trained, and start your business. So what do we want? What do we want? What do we want?
Understood by so many people, but not so many people are actually taking the initiative to work on climate change and turning it around to become a business. So they actually looking at the risk side, but in business there is the risk side, but there's also the reward side. So you can turn the risk into a business and a reward. So the strategies depending on how you look at things. So when you look at the risk side, you will not do anything. So we innovate and actually turn the risk into business and value. Thank you.
Let me add to that briefly because he's doing a lot of work with young people, and those are already strategies that have been turned into reality.
Thank you so much, Doctor, and the audience. At Evaposa Uganda, we have a free space for innovative volunteerism activity, but you have to come with a willing heart, ready to learn, ready to be mentored, and to listen to guidance. And when I talk of guidance, doesn't mean that in 3 days you are already a hero and you're running around saying that something has come out. But we need time because processes take time. Because we have been with a number of innovative volunteers for over 3 years, and you move out from our space when you have an organization or a company, but which company we form? Not document company, but a solution company providing a solution for your community. Case in point, Rachel, she has a company which she retooled herself. She knows how to make solar dryers, dry mushrooms. Now she's selling in supermarkets. We have many who are making briquettes. We have Stanley who's seated there who knows how to fabricate solar dryers. We have many who know how to take up irrigation systems, small irrigation systems. So I interacted with one of the youth here who knows how to make animations, and I said, provide yourself, be available, mentorship. We shall mentor you, guide you, so that you can use your animation skills to communicate media approaches, climate change information, since you're in the school environment, as well as you are making some money in the pocket. Because right now,
a student in environmental science, a finalist. And first and foremost, I want to congratulate you all to have joined here. Because many of the youth out there hear about such talks, like climate action talks, talk shows to do with the environment, and they never turn up. Then go on complaining, how have they helped? They talk about climate change every day and how can we involve? No, it doesn't mean, it doesn't mean that when you're out there, people will come and tell you about climate. It's you take that initiative to come and attend such action, like such climate action talks, that's such that you can learn. I personally, I didn't know about the CBS talks. I didn't know about it. I didn't know what the Deforestation Uganda initiative is all about. I have learned from here. So when you really don't get to understand, not until you follow up and get interested to attend such functions, that is when we get to understand what is taking place and how we as youth can engage in such initiatives. Always make sure that you involve yourself in this initiative because it's very important to us. I have one on Wednesday. I happened to attend the Climate Youth Forum, at the British Council, the embassy, and we discussed a lot matters concerning about youth. How can we the youth involve ourselves in such initiatives? It is us to involve ourselves to take part. If you hear, I want to ask you all.
Yes, Peosa, and the gentleman is around. But we normally interact with many categories of people. But I don't know why students and youth, mainly students from universities, they shy away from action. And they'll never come, yet opportunities are available. And after that, they say unemployment. But how are we going to solve unemployment when we don't avail ourselves and we don't have a willing heart to learn or to take up guidance? That was an addition. Thank you.
And this is an addition. And the reason is simple. False narratives. We are told that we will graduate with a degree, we will be given a job, and we wear a white collar, a tie, a white collar job. That's a lie. Look, you will not be able to survive in this 21st century by doing what we were told years ago. It's a different system at the moment. And diversification, like I said, the biggest security that you can be able to do for yourself. So what David is saying is that the false narrative has seeped into us who are more educated, and that actually those who are at the grassroots level are embracing these ideas faster than those who are educated coming out with degrees. And then they spend more time in the city only tweeting and sometimes backing even ideas when we give talks like this. They say it's repeated all the time. Please let's these opportunities.
Our facilitators, I love the way you execute everything. And
Come again, please.
I love the way you execute everything. Like you brought things to life.
Thank you.
Yes. I do believe in three things: innovation, creativity, and revitalization. But I have a simple question. This one here is to all the panels. If you have 15 years to live, and if you have 13 years to live, what are we going to do differently about our environment?
But let's go out there and spread the word to the rest that have not come into the room that climate change has no boundaries. It affects all of us, and we are all responsible for the change. Thank you.
My group is simple. I will just avail myself to involve the youth in the space I've been speaking about, which is innovative volunteerism, because it is a very big, it means big, and it has a lot of activities, which include innovation, value addition, whereby one will start conducting agriculture without spoiling the environment, conducting ED approaches, so mine will be providing a space for the youth through innovative volunteerism. Thank you very much, our dear audience. This is David from Deforestation, Uganda, and when next time we call you, kindly come, and I need you to register. Make sure when you go back, you don't just take the card, the business card. Kindly write an email and also register. And our space is innovative volunteerism. You will see a lot of benefit.
Thank you so much. I just want to tell you one thing. Do something now. Whatever you want to do, whatever you want to start, whatever you want to innovate, whatever you have as a passion, do it now, not tomorrow. You know, where we are now in this university, it was started by people who actually lived for maybe 50 years, had maybe 30 days a month, and maybe 24 hours a day. But the university is still there, and I've been also in the same university. They did something. Where I am in Peosa, I worked in the bank, Centenary Bank. I was heading the loans department for 15 years. And then I went to European Union, and then we actually leading to banks in the whole of Africa. And I left that. When I went out of that, I started the WOSA 6 years ago. Today, we employ over 100 people, and we have over 2 million people accessing our services. And the roster is 46 years, but it has surpassed circles of India for the last 20 years. So this something now I will do.
Wonderful to do something now, and that couldn't have been more exciting to build on the words of the wonderful lady on stage, David and Christine and the general manager that I'm here. 30 days to live. This is my, I argue like a philosopher. If you want to do something based on how long you would want to live, you will never do it. You will be involved with fear, because you will be involved with fear, with anxiety, and you will never be organized, and you will live those 30 days doing nothing. And even if you do it, you will not do it with all your mind, because you know that, oh, I'm doing this, I will not even be able to see it. So the best thing to do is play your part. Anytime you have the opportunity to breathe, like we are breathing now, play your part. Inspire young people, because Africa's strength is our young people. I call them the sovereign capital. Use every moment you meet a young person. Not only in the university, you get down to the village, you meet young people, tell them, oh, you are doing this, this is excellent. You know that if you do it this way, you are able to get this. Inspire them, give them the confidence. Inspire them, give them the motivation. Tell them that if you plant a tree, like Christine said, it's going to provide you food. If it is a fruit tree, it produces food you can eat and sell. So, environment is food security. Environment is economic opportunity. Environment is justice. Environment is equity. And then, if you can be able to showcase this, even in one day, or even in 1 minute, and somebody picks it up, you have made a difference. And then you have lived 100 years, you've made a difference. So, excellent question, but let's not do things thinking how long we're going to be on Earth or how many days we're going to be in Africa, or because that goes back to the false narrative that I mentioned, which is if we want to do things, or if we want to feel overwhelmed that Africa's challenges are so acute, I mean the challenges we have are many that we cannot solve, we will live the next 100 years feeling the same way. But if we say, yes, we have challenges, we will start solving them by changing the narrative now. There is power in narrative. I can tell you, with other extremities in Africa, anytime I go back to my alma mater in the University of Russia, they always want me to come and speak. Why? Because they want new knowledge. But in Africa, you want to come and speak, they say, that guy is coming again to speak the same thing he spoke the other time. No, we have a problem. And look, people may come and they may not be able to tell you, and I like the words that Herbert used, and that change is change when you change. I think this to me is really the underlining message that comes out of this, in addition to the false narrative, because nobody tells you that if you don't change, nothing will happen. Nobody tells you that opportunity comes when you are organized. We are not organized. That's why we organize events like this. We have like 100 people, which I was expecting to see 1,000 young people here who are yearning to learn. But no, they say, is he coming to share money there? Oh, if not, then. And now we expect, then we come back and say that we gave the same talk and that we are not seeing anything happen. Who was supposed to do it? You! It was supposed to be you. And that's a false narrative. We are told that we cannot be able to do it. Let's complain and not do it, and that somebody will give us it and they will do. False narratives. Thank you. How are you guys? I think they should all come out before we start taking photos, right? I think, yes, I think. Yeah. Yeah? No, they refuse to carry. So when they're ready, you tell us. There were more than 100 people, but I cannot see them all there.
I told that we were not captive. David.
Yes, sir.
Can we chant innovative volunteerism? Can you lead the chorus, please? Do that, do that. Your coffee.
Yeah. So we shall say like this. This means volunteerism. Innovative volunteerism. Innovative volunteerism. Climate action. Climate action. Climate action. Climate action. Youth action. Youth action. Youth in action. Youth in action. Ebafosa. 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 UN environment. UN environment. Innovative volunteerism. Innovative volunteerism. False narrative.
Feosa, you forgot Feosa. 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 Innovative volunteerism. Youth opportunities. Ebafosa. Wealth creation. Employment. Ebafosa. Feosa. Financial opportunities. For the youth. Oh yeah.
Volunteerism on, private action on, bringing on, sing
Ready? Okay? Perfect. Tweet is that. Good. Tweet it out. Yes. Sophie?
Youth using, or Ugandans using climate change smart technologies to fight
deforestation.
No. Actually, most importantly, security. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I'm Richard Munang, and I'm the United Nations Environment Program Climate Change Coordinator for Africa and also the Babusa Coordinator for Country. The discussion here at Makerere University for young people was very clear. If you look, Uganda as a country is a pioneering leader when it comes to climate change. They have the Climate Change Act of 2001. They have the revised nationally determined contribution, which are plans that they put in place to prioritize clean energy, prioritize smart agriculture, and also ensure that at least they move from actually clean solutions. And on top of that, Uganda have the National Determined Plan 3, which is actually the economic transformation agenda for the country that fits into Uganda's Vision 2040. So the discussion here today was very clear. When you look at the challenges of deforestation, Uganda is actually losing its forest as a rate of 2.5, and the 2045, Uganda might not have its forest, nothing is done. Then when it comes to food insecurity, Uganda, as we speak today, is suffering what Africa is suffering today because of the increased prices of wheat. So the importation of wheat, which Uganda spent over $300 million US, actually is a problem. But Uganda prides itself as the second highest producer of cassava. Cassava is a staple. And what the science is telling us under the changing climate is that wheat is going to reduce, sorghum will reduce, maize will reduce, but cassava will be the crop that will not be able to reduce. And even if it was to reduce only by 8% as compared to 36% by wheat. So the idea of food security is that Uganda can be able to create opportunities by adding value to cassava. And when Uganda adds value to cassava, it will tap into 300 products that can create jobs for the youth, that can be able to grow the economy and reverse the over $300 million US that it expends in an important way. This will be more money for the exchequer, it will be more money in the coffers of the country, and it will create jobs for the youth because 300 products in the cassava value chain. And we are actually working in Uganda here through the framework of ecosystem development. We are simply called Ebafosa, where we work with CBS Peosa, we work with the Uganda Kingdom, we work with young people, and we train them to be fabricating simple solar dryers that are adding value to cassava. So now, mothers in community, which I visited and saw in Keynote district, in Songa, Village Savings Association working with CS Teosha. They're adding value to cassava. They're turning it into porridge and they're selling it and they're making money. They are producing bagia. They are producing opportunities. And then the young people have also trained them. They're now turning agricultural waste into fuel briquettes. That's replacing charcoal. That's creating jobs for the youth. And now the clean cooking is used now for cooking the cassava, for cooking cassava flour, and people are healthy. So the overarching policy point here is that incentivizing uptake of climate action solutions like solar dryers will reduce food insecurity because value will be added to agricultural produce, especially cassava, and jobs will be created for the youth. Incentivizing clean cooking solutions like briquettes, where incentives can be put like zero VAT tax rating on briquettes that are produced from agricultural waste. An environmental issue will be solved, jobs will be created for the youth, and the over 40,000 Ugandans who die every year because of indoor pollution will now be reversed. And this is a big opportunity. So that was the talk, and the takeaway point was that the young people must become passionate to seize opportunities in environmental challenges, in climate change challenges. They should retool their skills, seize the opportunity, and become climate action entrepreneurs.
How can we entice youth into becoming climate change entrepreneurs? What should we do as a country?
Actually, the messaging, like it was here today, inspiring them that look, the environmental challenges, the climate challenges that we see present opportunity. And for you to create a job for yourself, it's easier for you to start retooling your skills and build on what is working. Like I said, Bafosa, Uganda is actually doing this work, developing solar dryers that are being decentralized to mothers and communities through the partnership with Teosha and Bafosa in the Uganda Kingdom. Youth have been trained by the UN, Bafosa, the UN environment, Bafosa to return agricultural waste. So the sharing of ideas here today, and also explain to them how they can be part of it. And the best thing that has happened is that CPS Teosha has come up with a good product with the lowest interest rate called Climate Action Solutions Loan that are targeting youth. That if you say you don't have money, you are interested in turning a climate challenge to an opportunity, you go and meet them, register, you can be able to access that loan without having a financial history with them, without having any credit history, and you can then be able to be trained, and you can be able to now get into the business of developing solar dryer and even making briquettes. That's the best thing. And this message needs to go out. So lectures like this and discussions like this are opportunity to also showcase that the opportunities are there, you can tap it. And this is how you can become billionaires as you turn environmental challenges to opportunities.
Lastly, what is the role of government if this country is to achieve what we've been talking about?
Yes, actually, to be very honest, it's good to appreciate what government has done. I know that sometimes, if we do not appreciate progress, we cannot make progress. Uganda is among the first 10 African countries to have a climate change act. I need a climate change act of Uganda, which is a law that governs how climate implementation can happen. There are priorities there that actually directly affect young people from an opportunity perspective. If you take the nationally determined contribution, which are actions that the country have put, we didn't also capture in this climate act. Agriculture. If you are able to practice smart agriculture, what is it? Simple. Intercropping, agroforestry, to grow your cassava. You are able to add value because the National Development Plan 3 of Uganda actually prioritizes agro-industrialization. Then you are actually fitting in within the government priorities. And what I have argued and told you is build on what already exists. Seize this opportunity, generate data, and then indicate that, okay, we have implemented what is in these policies. This is the data, but then these are the gaps, and we need incentives there. But unless you do something to show the gap to ask for an incentive, it will be like throwing water on a duck's back.
That was so perfect.
Thank you. Yes, please, but when you do the... Yes, today, 10 June, Friday, at Makerere University, we have a discussion with the young people on how they can seize opportunities in environmental challenges and climate change challenges. Because the drought, the floods we see, the littering of plastic, the charcoal that our mothers depend on, actually it's a problem. It's an environmental problem because trees are felled and they can be able to retool their skills, to learn a skill to turn agricultural waste that we see into fuel briquettes that can replace those charcoal. So that by doing that, they will become entrepreneurs, they will be making money, and they will then reduce unemployment. Another aspect is food. If you look at the crisis in which the world is facing today, actually the Ukraine-Russia war has resulted in wheat importation prices to go up, and at the same time, this is affecting the poor people in the community. But Uganda is the second highest producer of cassava in the entire world, and this is a staple in the country. But it is being produced by our mothers and communities, but value is not added. So if the young people can start to develop solar dryers to add value to this will be an opportunity. And we are working through an ecosystem-based adaptation of food security assembly, which is a UNEP-led initiative in Uganda here that works with CBS POSA and coordinated through the Uganda Kingdom. Young people have actually showcased that they can develop solar dryers. They've been trained, and these have been decentralized to village savings and loans association in communities. I was in Mukono in the Songa, Mukono district, and there is a group called Songa, VSLA. They have started turning cassava into cassava flour and making porridge. And they said their incomes are good. So those are the kind of things that the youth should venture to. And the discussion here today was just to be sure that the youth can understand that environmental challenges are wealth opportunities and can create jobs for us.
Who are you?
I am Richard Munang, and I am the United Nations Environment Program Coordinator for Africa.
I think that is that of drafting my head as we can take back our seats. That's how we welcome this as a Makerere.
I work with the Global Landscape Forum. My question goes to Dr. Richard. Please, thank you very much for debunking these false narratives that young people do have. And I hope all the young people who are here are not going to listen to the words of wisdom that have come from you and just say, wow, that's a great speech. And then just go back and sleep on their roads. I hope from here you can go and take action. Yeah, so my question is about energy. We have the EACO project that is happening in East Africa, which is going to be the longest heated crude oil pipeline in the whole world. We know the effects this is going to have to the environment, and even our government knows. But also, we must understand the concept of just energy transition. I mean, how do we keep this oil in the ground? And also, how do we get compensated for the oil we are keeping in the ground? Because I mean, we are poor. You saw Kabushenga last time saying, we are poor, we can't afford life. And we have brothers and sisters who would benefit from
that. It's a valid question, and I think that I will do justice to provide guidance based on what we stand for as an organization, and also what is best for Africa, using reality and not some kind of conceptual thinking that sometimes we move around. Let's start from the reality. If you look at the continent of Africa today, I said over 90% of the entire continent use on clean coal. It's coal, fireside. Why? They don't know how to alternative. They don't. So the first thing to look at is how can we make sure that we solve the problem of 90% of 1.4 billion people? Because the reality is that oil, gas, this is not going to solve their problem. So the easiest way to transition, because just transition is about justice, it's about equity, it's about ensuring that each and everyone be part of the transition, not leaving anyone behind, as the SDG said. So the first starting point is decentralization of off-grid energy, which is simple. Solar power energy that you can have a home with a solar panel, that we can start to train our youth, invest in them so they can start telling them how to build bridges. Because every morning in the village, imagine if every village can move away from depending on petrol and the use of bridges, we're saving lives. Because Africa is losing 200,000 lives every year because of indoor pollution. These are lives, these are not just statistics. So, one of the aspects of justice is doing. And doing is the clean energy. And clean energy that can be accessible by mothers in community. Well, brilliance is one, and it's easy because you create jobs for yourself and grow economy. The second is renewable energy, clean energy, below 95 days of sunshine. But renewable energy not just to provide access to light, but to add value to agricultural produce in communities so that they can put money in their pocket and even afford to buy a light bulb. Because if people in the area and don't have money to buy a light bulb, it means nothing. It means nothing. There are a lot of those who still say, no, we're waiting for government to come and put us. That is not a sustainable life. Now back to oil, the most contentious issue, and I decided to end with it at the end intentionally. This is the point. If you look at the Africa best stance is to leapfrog into what they have abundance. Oil is not renewable, it will finish. Even if, yes, you have 4% of emissions in a global community, that's fine, good. It's good news to go like that and say it. But the question is, even if you were to extract your oil without investing in renewable energy, the oil will finish and you will be poor. So why don't you just transition, use proceeds from where you are using the proceeds from the tapping of your liquefied gas, but invest it in renewable quickly, so that you don't even need to go on that route of saying we have to explore all our gas, we have to explore all our oil, so that we can make money. No, you transition people, you generate internal revenue with your resources to invest in moving people towards the renewable pathway. You will become richer, people will be lifted from the bottom of the pyramid, people will escape poverty and will grow very fast. So the thinking cannot be have to extract our oil, we have to do it because we are less emitter. That's the false narrative. I think I was wrong here. Are you happy?
Very good point. So probably you've spoken about I've had the same in different okay.
And the Cisco is here. I mean, there are a lot of the Cisco who are doing amazing. Please go ahead. Use the mic.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for the wonderful speech that underpins the relevance of us as young people, as youth, as the champions of climate action. My name is Isaac Yampachi. I'm actually an OB of CAES. Specifically, I studied from forestry, school of forestry, and I did a bachelor's degree in forestry. I currently run a social enterprise that deals in renewable energy solutions, and that is ecosystem-based solutions, turning the lives of many people, transforming them economically and socially.
So how did you get there? So that we how did you get there? Because he said,
yes,
it's to me, I speak, and the problem is give money.
Yeah.
So I want you to develop the dream.
Yes. So looking at the challenges of people, we look at them in a perspective of opportunities. If you look at our mothers struggling with smoke, suffering from cancers and etc., we come up with a solution, and that is the charcoal briquettes, which we are currently producing, and that was through skills retooling of ourselves after graduating. Because we all know we cannot eat degrees, but it is up to us to transform ourselves. This is the third public lecture held here in this particular conference hall, where Dr. Richard emphasized this kind of youth participation for climate action. And as I speak now, I have the team I work with behind me, and we are on the forefront of promoting fuel briquettes. It's actually not theory, it's not a fallacy, but it happens. We are located in Makerere. We are in that industrial area. If you have time, you can come and visit us. We have quite a number of ecosystem-based solutions we are putting on the market, and people are adopting. So it is not that these other people who are on top of us are just telling us words, but these are realities. The problems we can turn into opportunities for ourselves. I thank you so much. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Thank you very much. The reality is that, and I want to just be on that with the moderator before I hand back to you, because this is very important. The question he asked is an important question. And this is not about him. He helped to communicate
the views of millions across the continent. Because, and that's what I spend time. I think this lecture is not the same. I would disagree with you. It's not, yes, I've said similar things a little bit, but it's completely different. If you notice today, my lecture was on false narrative, debunking false narrative. That was my theme. Yes, well, how do we move away from what we have been told that we cannot do to do what we must do to get what we don't have, right? And one of the aspects is that we expect Rome to be built in one day is a lie, it's a false narrative. We expect that the challenges of energy, poverty will be solved tomorrow. Lies, that's not how it works. How can one person solve the problems of 50 million people or 1.4 billion people? Impossible. Then if we have 1.4 billion people who are not doing enough, you will need time to convince them. And it starts with you, like Isaac, like David, like CBS, Poyosa. How many cooperatives are in Uganda? But Deforestation is the one that has started. Others will learn. But we could still say, no, nothing is happening. Because we still see other cooperatives not doing it. But have you started? Start and others follow. So I want to reassure you that change is not easy to come, but you must be forceful, persistent, and consistent, and passionate, and convince people with the product. And it takes time to build a product. Ask Isaac, 2 years. Ask David, 5 years. Ask the manager here, how many years? Almost 3 years before they integrated it into the loan portfolio. But we are told that no, it will happen tomorrow, and then we go black and yes, it's going to happen tomorrow if we do this and that. Let's stop this kind of attitude. It's not a good attitude. Thank you. We are meeting here at a time in the history of the world that is quite very different than many times that we have come together and gathered here. The world is battered by what I call three fronts. It's sophisticated, it's sophisticating under the changing climate where we're seeing drought and flood across the world and right here in Uganda. What I'm going to tell you here today is what you know, but I'll tell you in different ways so that we can imagine different actions that we need to take and not do business as usual. Battered by these three challenges, one of them is COVID-19 that came as an earthquake and showed us that we cannot survive emergencies by doing things the same way and expecting different results. The last one is the suffering from the cyclone of war. We've seen that war elsewhere, not necessarily right in our doorstep, can be able to affect what we eat, can be able to affect our pockets. And this is what we are experiencing today. These challenges are actually plunging millions of citizens across the continent and right in Uganda into poverty and reducing opportunities. So I've come here today so that we can discuss an important subject: environment, climate action, and entrepreneurship. So you can become part of it. Not only talking about it, but become part of it and participate in the process of building a resilient Uganda, a resilient Africa, and creating opportunities for your own self. About 20 years ago, I was 23 years old, like many of you who are seated here today. And even those of you who are older, 20 years ago, you were somewhere, either at a university or doing something and following structural guidance. 20 years ago, as I said, I was 23 years old, but over my entire schooling life, I made one fundamental observation, which was that students passing or failing their exam is not a function of whether that subject was difficult, but rather it was a function of students' attitudes towards that course. And what is even more interesting is that the attitudes of the students towards the tutor was often in that course played a bigger role. He's played a bigger role. The lecturer was perceived as rooting passionately for everyone in class to pass highly, have students more committed to that course unit, and many of them ended up passing that course. So failing of a particular course, and which I know that many of you are taking courses in different subjects that you are undertaking. This is the underpinning of what we are discussing today. What I've just, the parable that I put here in front of you today, underpins the principle of climate action preneurship. It is about rooting for everyone's success. Doing something not only to benefit yourself, but solve a community problem. Doing something to be able to address that mother's challenge in the village. Not only to benefit yourself, but in the course of doing so, you put money in your pocket, but solve a communal problem. Not always asking the question, what is in it for me? Because there comes a time where we have to discuss issues in a different way. Not what we have heard 20 years ago. Not how it is being discussed. But do it in a way that can bring transformational meaning to people's lives in every facet of society. I'm speaking here today when we live in a continent that harbors 65% of uncultivated rainforest. We still have 257 million Africans who are going to bed on basic and everything. That's paradoxical. I'm standing in front of you here today, giving statistics of children, over 60 million of them are malnourished. And we talk about this as if it's just about to talk about it and think about it as a problem without a proposing solution. That's not an attitude to be taught. That's why I'm here tonight. So let's come reshape the narrative, the distortion that has happened for quite too long. When we are grounded, having the weight of environment of challenges on our shoulders, having the weight of climate change on our shoulders, and still making as if solutions will just fall into place as we discuss this issue. No. We're the continent today, losing $48 billion as a result of whose habits inefficiencies in the entire agro-value chain are costing these billions. And we talk about it without necessarily getting down to the ground to start doing something. Not so. We are in a continent today that have 265 days of sunshine. Yet, we are losing this amount of food. The stream of these losses arising from unsustainable consumption. What is called the triple planetary crisis of climate change, of biodiversity loss, of pollution and waste has actually gripped the entire world and also the African continent. But we know that devising solutions to these challenges underpins environment and climate action and entrepreneurship. It is the core of unlocking opportunity. Yes, it is. Right here in Uganda, for example, I'm speaking here tonight, pollution. Uganda generates an estimated 1,500 tons of plastic waste daily, which further degrades the environment. Across the entire continent, we see this play out each and every day. Yes, we discussed about it. We even see plastic bottles and keep them as we travel, pass them along the way. Not knowing that that waste is opportunity, that waste is wealth. Yes, we discussed the issues of blame one another. That should stop. Despite the fact that 1,500 tons of plastic are produced daily, only 9% of these plastics are actually recycled. Meaning 90% of these still present opportunity that can actually be tapped into by you, the youthful generation of this continent, and even those who are young and hard. On another level, indoor pollution, which is a menace, is killing our mothers who are committed to crime, killing our brothers and sisters in communities because they depend on charcoal. And this is costing their lives. In Uganda, on clean cooking costs Uganda up to 40,100 lives every year as we speak today. Devising alternative clean cooking solutions can tap into 48 million right here in Uganda, $48 million. I am talking about here today. And there is climate change that we speak today. And every time in the room that is costing the continent $20 billion every year. But in no sector are the climate impacts more visible than in the agricultural sector we speak today. The value addition aspect sometimes get missing, and that means that we change that no matter how you tell people that they can produce, the more you produce without adding value, the more you're going to lose. And the sector of poverty is commodity. So come here today so we can have a meaningful conversation. The scenario of losses will play across the entire continent, including right here in Uganda, to illustrate this scenario that I'm actually putting right up here to you today. Uganda, the world, as we speak, is on the way with crisis, where global prices of commodities have actually increased because of the war in Ukraine. I started by mentioning this. The import of wheat has actually been witnessed to go up to about 50% accompanied by a significant shortage. Whereas your own head of state said this crisis is an opportunity for the country to transition to cassava, which is a much better alternative. This couldn't be further from the truth. Whether you like it or not, this is a fact. Why is it a fact? Uganda today have cassava, where Uganda is the second most important.
I see youth holding certificate in their hands, waiting for jobs. Now I remind them